even though JustSaiyan's name is actually David.
Yeah, except, oh, yeah, that really does complicate the story. Thanks for that. I hadn't thought of that. But this time around, even though there is the Goliath, it is the David who has the better weapons in this one, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can hold his nerve and keep it together. And we have seen Saiyan win remarkable matchups anyway. I mean, we have seen Quest Rogue can beat anything apart from Mage. So you ban the Mage and take your chance. If he gets that one win with the Quest Rogue, this is wide open.
That is very true. And Zheming, we honestly don't know too much about him. And when we asked about if there's anything we wanted to talk about...
Certainly, he must have faced lineups like this on the way through. There's a lot of aggro in this lineup. So opening up with his Druid, trying to get it done against the Odd Rogue.
Yeah, both these players have Malagos Druid. I think the lineup from Zheming is quite similar to what I saw from Thais, who won EU versus CN, going with this aggressive target Quest Rogue lineup, and also including the Malagos Druid with that Dream Petal Florist, which makes it so much better in that particular matchup.
Zheming's shown his inexperience here by failing to draw any of his 3-drops with the coin, though. Definitely a noob behavior there.
Yeah, who does that? Not even a Cold Blood to go with his 1-drop and having other 1-drops to back it up. Maybe he gets it off the top on the next turn, though. As for JustSaiyan, not much ramp at all quite yet.
And let's see how he copes with it as well, because when you come along to your friendly local tour stop to play a bit of Hearthstone, the last thing you expect is a win and in on stage against the current sort of hot player of the world.
Zheming is experienced. Sorry to talk about him as if he didn't know what to draw.
Yeah, he's fine. He's sorted it out. But yeah, I mean, it is a massive amount of pressure for him, and you can see the difference in how they are approaching it, sort of, just to look at them.
Yeah.
But he's keeping himself together well. Let's see if he can keep it together and make sure he does the good plays as well.
It is very easy to get nervous against players that have multitudes more experience than yourself, but a lot of people need to realize that, well, at some point they had to start as well.
Exactly.
Zheming just deciding which of his 1-drops he wants to use to activate this Cold Blood, but I have no doubt that this 5-2 to be Dire Maul will be hitting face soon. Luckily for Saiyan, he did Hero Power it down last turn, so he has the chance to Moonfire and Hero Power it down this turn.
Yeah, good to see this. I do think that I like this because the big danger when you're nervous on stage is outthinking yourself. It's like, oh no, I'm playing JustSaiyan, I need to do something different to what I normally do. Well, no, you just need to play as good as you must have played to get to 4-1 and you'll be fine. And I do like that he's roping the first few turns just to get used to sitting in there with that pressure. A lot of players start playing super quick when they're there for the first time.
Yeah, definitely can take all the time you can to develop that composure and treat your opponent as just another name on ladder, I suppose.
I mean, that's all it is, really. They just happen to be really good, and if you make a mistake, you'll lose. But it's still just the same thing. And Saiyan there, talking of not making mistakes, making sure to just get rid of that early 5-1. You know, burning anything you can to get into the game if you can stabilize with Malfurion maybe later on.
Yeah, this is just a very honest Druid hand, I have to say. No ramp, and he didn't have the greatest answer for the 5-2. He just had to kill it over 2 turns and lose a lot of health in the process. But looks like for Saiyan, he may even have to just play out a Tempo Flute next turn, but he has kind of a powerful turn 5 with Starfall to remove 1 minion or possibly a lot of these small minions because of the kind of board that Zheming is developing, and then play out the Arcane Tyrant. Hope to curve into that Malfurion. As for Zheming, the hand isn't too strong at all. As you said, he missed out on the Fledgling and the Hench Clan Thug.
Yeah, joking aside, he's done nothing wrong in terms of his hand. He's just drawn pretty badly right now. And at the moment, there's nothing Saiyan can do about it, but that Nourish would change things in a hurry.
Yeah, Nourish and UI. This Druid hand is not looking so honest anymore. It's looking kind of Druidy.
Yeah, good old-fashioned Druid. Honest Druid is not a phrase used very often.
So for Zheming, again, another dead draw. And the problem with playing out things like Tar Creeper and Flame Elemental is that it walks into Spreading Plague. You really want to be putting more pressure on board, but none of these cards actually are worth the risk into Plague, I think, for the damage that they actually put onto the board.
And he's just going to go in with Leroy. He can deal with the 1-1s, and very nice to see.
Definitely like this from Zheming, just because it's so easy for him to clear off the whelps, and he cannot afford to play around with things like Starfall and Swipe at this point, but he has nothing better.
Yeah, Also preserving the Divine Shield just in case you might need it later. And needs it there straight away. Keeps minion available. But now the game begins to change quite a lot towards Saiyan.
Yeah, he is definitely in the driver's seat now. That Myra's in the near future could help Zheming though, but I assume that he would just go for some kind of Tar Creeper play here. Dagger up. Next turn you can at least hit that 4/4 with the Vilespine, or I suppose whichever minion doesn't trade into the Tar Creeper.
Yeah, he'll be looking to try and dump this hand reasonably rapidly over the next probably 2 turns, maybe 3. Just get the maximum space there for Myra's. Because Leroy's gone, he's going to need to get most likely a very good draw when he does play that Myra's. And we've seen it already today, double Cold Blood in the first match of the day, finish somebody off.
The thing is, Saiyan has a very powerful next few turns. This is kind of a slower turn, I would suppose, just to take the time to ramp up. But after this, he can go Malfurion in hero power and then UI. And it's very difficult to actually get through all that armor for Zheming if he doesn't draw like the absolute nuts Myra hand.
And Saiyan there, just preserving 2 extra health on his face. Just went to make the trade and checked himself. Thought, know what, 3-1's pretty much the same as a 3-3. Let's not mess around here. Let's preserve against accidents because I'm going to stabilize next turn. These minions don't really matter that much. What matters is I play Malfurion.
Yeah. The most burst damage Saiyan would have to be afraid of is something like double deckhand, second cold blood, and deadly poison, and that is a very specific combination of cards. Even then, I think he's managed to find the best line to play around that.
Yeah, rogues do 2s and 4s quite well, so putting yourself from a 12 to a 14 is actually a relevant difference.
This point onward, JustSaiyan will be able to just have this upgraded Death Knight and the most disgusting Druid things that Druids do.
Yeah, and like you say, just going to become the Druid now.
They should just change the name from David and Goliath to David and Druid.
David and the Druid?
Yeah.
Sounds like a really bad book about Beanstalk. Getting my stories very mixed up there. And now we have Ultimate Infestations coming up.
And a real awkward draw for Zheming there. He would have loved to have drawn something to go along with the Fledgling, or at least have had this Fledgling be cheap enough to activate a Vilespine with.
Yeah, this is a grim looking turn.
Hate to say it, but it might have to be a tempo Vilespine.
It does look that way because you don't want to mess around with Myra's for too much longer. I think he's trying to work out if tempo Fledgling is better.
Yeah.
Because he can kill off one of the 1/5s with his dagger and his 3/4, and just then hope to activate the Vilespine next turn, and maybe the Fledgling hits face.
Sure.
He knows that he's probably lost this game now.
Everything is weak to Ultimate Infestation though, so it looks like Saiyan will be able to take this. I can't think of any 5 cards that will be dead enough for Zheming to have a chance, and you see him put his forehead on his fist. Absolutely what he didn't want to see. And on the contrary, I also can't think of like a set of Myra's cards that gets him out of this.
Yeah, there's just too much. Well, there's not enough mana. We always forget this about Rogue anyway. He's only got 8 mana. You Myra, you've got 3 mana to do something with.
I think he goes for the SI Vilespine this turn, delays Myra a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, makes him draw more cards next turn. Also, obviously, more mana next turn, so that combination's nice. But certainly with 23 health on the side of Saiyan and advancing pass on hand, looks like he's going to get this done.
Saiyan can do this many different ways. Yeah, even going for that Plague and Pass for Attack.
I like
is
that
fine. Yeah.
right now, just because it challenges the minions on board so cleanly.
He doesn't quite have removal outside of the hero power, but it seems pretty strong to just go for some form of board presence.
Just having a bit of a dig. And just not overly bothered about the branching pass. Obviously, you are giving him a lot of armor when you do that, so just forcing Zheming to have something more.
And removing 2 minions is quite better against Bunglemancer. Which
like
is
this.
off the top, yeah. So Zheming, I suppose it's just going to be Baku coming out this turn. It's quite sad, but what other choice does he really have?
Yeah, Baku is a pretty tasty minion. It does give you, I mean, it doesn't give you much of a hope here because this is almost dead lost, but you've got something out there they have to deal with, or it will kill you. Obviously, it's not ideal.
It's a very depressing position to be in as on rogue, which most of the time, if you're on ladder and you see the UI and you haven't got lethal, you just concede because it's so hard to come back from that point. But of course, you cannot blame Zheming for keeping the game going on because this is a high-stakes tournament.
Yeah, not only that, but this experience, I say it time and time again, if you can sit on stage here, win or lose for an hour instead of 25 minutes, next time he's out there, it is so much easier. But this really is looking fantastic. Zheming is just working out how to not die, and he has so many armor options, and he's feeling he doesn't even need them, just cycling through his deck. You need a plan, Zheming. You need it now.
Yeah, it's Hench Clan and Myra's, and there's honestly not 9 cards I can think of that can get Zheming out of this. Looking at Saiyan's hand, how much armor he has, he even has the potential to push for a lethal soon with this double branching paths. Yeah,
he's going to be 2 turns off just because presumably Zheming will take down the 1-2 here. If he doesn't, things get really nasty looking. And it's really nasty, the game is basically over. But
oh, he's actually going to try and empty more cards, hoping to get the full 10 draw here.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably wrong. I feel like, I don't know, he developed a 5-5. Yeah, whatever. Sure. Well, what do you want to do, Zheming? How do you want to win this game?
There are many different avenues to victory here, branching paths, if you will, but I do think that this draw exactly into Malagos with this Moonfire for the 6-6 looks nice and clean, very stylish.
He's seen both Vile Spines, so I think so. Malagos is going to sit there, like you say, stylishly kill his opponent very soon. Zheming really feeling this. I mean, he hasn't done a whole lot wrong. He's just Zheming's had the stuff and he got it done.
Yeah, I think it would be perfectly reasonable to concede from here, just because a Malagos sticking on board is near death in itself. But
you play Myra's just in case you've missed something obvious, even though it's very unlikely. Might as well see the cards and remind yourself.
Let's say Myra's pulls the Giggling, you play the Giggling, Saiyan has 0 spells that deal damage in hand.
And this time I'm not a fan of the minion being played first. I think I'd rather have 1 fewer cards and have more mana to do stuff with.
I do feel like he had to hope for the Giggling out just to survive the turn. So I indeed also would have liked to see the Myra's come down first. But it turns out that the Giggling was the last card draw.
Yes.
That's being results based though.
But yeah, I mean, he didn't have much hope either way anyway, but yeah, that would have probably been more of the play. Zheming still hoarding all of the potential, oh my goodness. All the potential armor, but now he's got so much damage.
With the double branching paths. Before the Naturalize was drawn, I'm not sure if it was quite there because of the taunting wave. Every single time, Zheming, I do think, had lost this game by the time the UI was played.
Yeah.
That is just the power of a powerful Malagos Druid curve sometimes.
Zheming going for the fatigue kill rather than hitting him in the face. It's always fun to watch somebody die in fatigue, I feel, compared to hitting them.
I do think it is the more time-efficient play to not play the second branching paths and instead just end the turn and let the fatigue kill them.
And that's a very Saiyan thing to sort of think about as well. Yeah. Which is the most time-efficient of these plays? While he's doing the animations, oh yeah, I'll just pass turn.
Yeah, and it's
save
also just
0.1 seconds.
Less movements, right? If you had to...
And we are going to get even lock versus the Rogue. This is a good cue for Zheming, but by no means certain. The double ooze can get so much tempo back on Saiyan's side to buy time if he wants to go that way.
Yeah, that is actually a very strong opening from the even lock that allows them to fight for board prior to having hook reverse, which doesn't happen very often in the matchup. Saiyan is just going to keep 1 though.
visualizing how it's going to work out, quite often the rogue won't have time to re-dagger when you blow up the first one.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense because when you play the first ooze and say you remove 2 charges from the dagger, the natural response from the odd rogue is to dagger up again and then kill off that ooze. In which case, your second ooze will only be removing 1 charge, which is not necessarily too good.
Oh, there it is anyway.
Might just see that anyway, and for Saiyan, it's not the worst thing ever. He can curve ooze into tap ooze into Twilight Drake if Zheming is not putting any larger threats onto the board, and it looks like his choice of minions is again not the best.
Yeah, for the second game in a row, he's drawn particularly badly. I feel I'm just checking that the good minions are in there, and they all are. So he has just drawn a bit shoddily. And some people who play Odd Rogue sort of try it and don't like it because they have 3 or 4 games like this and think, why am I playing this deck?
Yeah, I mean, it's just bad luck, right? You're running at least 4 of those powerful 3 drops. If not, you also have the chance to have a Cold Blood start, and all of these are very effective against not only even lock but Druid.
But there goes the mana, and might not end up too terribly on the first play around for Zheming here because he's going to have the option to kill that off with a deckhand and re-dagger, or play a deckhand and re-dagger, but Cold Blood changes things up a bit.
Yeah, this is a really punishing ooze now that you mention it, because the Cold Blood comes off the top now, so if Zheming wants to play it, it's any minion that gets Cold Blooded is just dying straight up to the dagger.
So we might just see a Tar Creeper just to defend this. I mean, it's only 1 card, but then next turn you've got 4 mana, and you can play deckhand, dagger, Cold Blood all at once.
I do like just the re-dagger here. You can't be expecting the second ooze, and he can at least still develop 1 more minion onto the board. I expect it to be a 1-2 just because of defile things.
Yeah, and presumably this double ooze is in here partially for this matchup because it is such a mediocre matchup at best the rest of the time.
In response to that, Saiyan will probably go for the coin Twilight Drake.
So decided he wanted to hit it with his face, and like you said, the response is to kill the first ooze, so the second one's not going to get as much done. Oh, picking up the Hellfire makes things a little bit different for Saiyan to at least think about it, but no, not messing around, straight with the Twilight Drake, let's go on his side.
Getting the Twilight Drake down as early as possible while the Rogue doesn't really have any threatening minions is super powerful. It allows you to just take value trades for ages.
Yeah, it's just a minion slaughterer at this point. Saiyan also using his experience a little bit. Saiyan's not the quickest of players normally. He's not particularly slow, but he's a sort of mid-pace player.
Yep.
Of course, Zheming's
4
roping
stars, 3
every
stars
turn.
on pace of play. Which
Oh yeah, all the memes regarding the players coming from Championship on the official Twitter, or the esports Twitter for Hearthstone.
Those are subjective stars, but I'll tell you an objective star rating for Saiyan, and that is 2-star master.
2-star master, and getting very close to that 3-star if he keeps on like this. But yeah, what I was going to go with that, before I got so rudely distracted by somebody memeing while I'm talking, because I never do that to anybody, is that he is playing a lot quicker than usual, and that's putting all the pressure back onto Zheming. And that, I'm sure, is a deliberate tactic here, because he's aware that Zheming's trying to calm down, trying to use his time.
Zheming has not been rushing in response to it though, and I like to see that he's still going for the pace of play that he was at the beginning, and is choosing to play the Vicious Fledgling over the Tar Creeper here. I do like this. It's a risk into Hellfire, yes, but I don't think he's winning if he's just putting a 1-5 onto the board.
Yep, I think
And
he's finding some nice plays.
Respect clear of the Twilight Drake was necessary there. It feels bad to push that much damage into it, but he needed to protect this Fledgling.
So everything possible here for Saiyan. He's going to deal with the Fledgling before it starts to get out of control.
Did look like a pretty simple Hellfire there. Of course, Saiyan took the time to maybe consider, is there any reason for going for Spellstone instead of this? Or I don't think Twilight Drake was a consideration, because if the Fledgling gets stealth, then it's suddenly not able to be cleared. And the Spellstone just gets better after the Hellfire, and the Hellfire also clears the 1-2, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, too many good rolls there for that Fledgling.
Saiyan has the answer for the next sizable threat from Zheming in the form of the Spellstone. It is a little unfortunate that it gets him farther away from these Hook Weavers, but He's just had so much. Well, now having drawn that, there's an alternative line of play.
Yeah.
It's kind of greedy though, heavily punished by some kind of Vile Spine play.
Yeah, and he's just shown all the way through this. We saw this with Muzzy earlier as well. Just against those aggro decks, don't worry about burning your resources. It'll all be all right if you get some mana together. Easy said, because if I do this, I just run out of resources and I haven't got enough mana and then I die. But Saiyan's pacing it, he will get enough mana together. If he gets to turn 8, that's the key turn. He'll have 4 drops everywhere.
Yes.
And everything will look very nice.
Zheming's refill is not looking too great here. I guess he just plays the Tar Creeper to get it out of the hand. It's most likely to survive whatever Saiyan plays next, and Zheming needs to hope for a Fungal Mancer off the top.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling here. Saiyan's got health for days, he's got minions coming up. Not over yet though, this could change in a hurry with a well-timed Cold Blood or a Myra's with Leroy Cold Blood.
Yeah, Zheming still definitely has a lot of outs, and because of that Spellstone healing, he's still able to dagger Saiyan's face and stay out of the range of Hook Reaver even after a tap.
Saiyan, 1 mana short of the Homunculus tap Reaver, so
Yeah.
gonna have to find
I think you're perfectly happy with this, Twilight Drake. I was going to say with Homunculus, but with the draw of the... Oh!
He didn't even go for it, yeah?
Oh yeah, this is in respect of Vile Spine, so it's just get rid of that dagger, and the Ooze is better at challenging the Dire Mole.
And Zheming really hasn't been picking up his power minions that often at all. Not quite so bad this game, but game 1 he picked up very little.
Yeah, it's looking really bad for him now. Even if he daggers down the Ooze and doesn't attack his minions to the face, Saiyan has what we were talking about a while ago, which is tap Vulgar and the Hooked Reaver. And Saiyan will then have 2 very sizable minions onto the board. And Zheming doesn't even have 1 Vile Spine to deal with either.
Yeah, Saiyan may even have a tap or 2's worth of health left available to him. It's going to be a bit iffy, but...
I do think that a lot of the percentage points given in favor of the Odd Rogue in this matchup are solely because of Vile Spine Slayer.
Yes.
The card is just so powerful against the fundamentals of what Even Lock tries to do, which is, you know, put yourself to a low health total, which allows you to play a single, very strong minion for its mana cost, Mountain Giant, Hook Reaver, Twilight Drake. And when you're able to remove that single minion and yourself put more pressure onto the board, aka Vile Spine Slayer, you just mess with their entire game plan.
Yeah, so Saiyan will be trying to tiptoe around that the best he can. Picking up Gul'dan gives him an even simpler game plan now. It's not just don't die then make a point, it's just don't die for 3 turns then you're good.
Strong Spellbreaker. This does make things even better for Saiyan now because he can put a taunt in the way and also allow himself to develop double Hook Reaver, and playing them both down on 1 turn, playing them together is significantly stronger than playing them one at a time, because one at a time they can get Vile Spined.
Yeah, and this is just not Vile Spineable in the slightest. A little bit of news coming in from some of the other games. Players that have made the top 16, PNC, Tyler, hold your breath, come on chat, you can do it. Navi Oot has made the top 16. We'll be seeing more of him tomorrow. Every game will be shown.
I'm sure he's a Twitch chat favorite.
Muzzy has lost, but at the moment he's top of the tiebreakers on 4 and 2, but that can change quickly.
I think there will be maybe 2 people in the top 16 that make it in with 4-2. So
yeah, so
Muzzy
he may have a
strong
chance.
Candidate for that. Zheming with a very unfortunate draw of more 1-drops, not hitting those Fungal Mancers on time at all. Not even a Myra's either. Forced to trade in one of them just to get rid of this Vulgar Homunculus. If he had had a Fungal Mancer off the top there, things might have been a little bit scarier for Saiyan, but still not enough to push for lethal, and he would have had these 2 7/7 taunts on the next turn anyway.
And this is the play he's been working towards since about turn 5.
Yep.
Just a play where he turns it around and throws up a game-winning board.
I like the face attack a lot because only one of these taunts can be Vile Spined at 9 mana.
Zheming, I mean, he's drawn so many 1-drops in both games that it has run out of steam even quicker than you'd expect.
Yeah, it's been quite a bad draw, I have to say. And it's very unfortunate for him that this even lock will be sliding through onto the odd rogue. If Zheming got the win with the odd rogue, then suddenly he's looking much better against that quest rogue in general.
Yeah, now the quest rogue, which can take down that odd rogue surprisingly often, is going to have some outs. But the game hasn't really stood scale. I wonder how much experience Saiyan has with quest rogue, given his high standard with everything else. He's played a lot of odd rogue in tournaments recently.
Yeah, I feel like Zheming just is experienced with everything and is a full keep from him there. No surprise, as a Glacial Shard, one of the best ways to stem the bleeding against Zoo and one of the ideal minions to complete the quest on in this matchup. And the prep, very key if you're hoping to have an early vanish or early prep out of the quest. It's just a decent card to be keeping.
And we're going to see how good that Glacial Shard is here, because Zheming has kept his Soul Infusion doubling him nonsense. And yeah, you get rid of one of those, but can you keep control of two? Glacial Shard, it is the worst thing for that doubling it, for that Soul Infusion to go on.
Yeah, this is looking really strong for Zheming, because the turn 1 Soul Infusion allows him to put 8 worth of stats onto the board on turn 2. That's better than a turn 3 Mountain Giant, Lorinda.
Yeah, and you can only kill half it. If there's a Mountain Giant, you could freeze it and bounce your freeze back and so on. But keeping control of 2 of these imps is going to be horrible, and we'll see Saiyan flinch here, I think, when he sees this Soul Infusion. But you don't see it very often, but I think he'll know what this means.
And we did talk a lot about how JustSaiyan has been playing quite quickly throughout the series so far, and Zheming has not been pressured by the speed of play of his more experienced opponents, still taking the time to really evaluate every single play. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. We often see people blow up. He's clearly incredibly nervous, but he's taking his time to settle in as much as possible. But settle in or not, this is a problem for any Quest Rogue player.
Yeah, and Saiyan has not drawn any bounces, which makes playing the Glacial Shard less enticing here, but he may just have to do it, or maybe even drop the Wax Elemental to stall out.
Plop the Wax Elemental in the way, then next turn we might see the fabled Prep Minstrel.
Sad. Zheming with that Kobold Librarian. If he gets a heal card, things could get... Oh, that's a pretty good one to get to. I think actually Voodoo Doctor still would have been a better draw on this turn, but we take Keleseths when they're available. Although, the way that the board is panning out, I wouldn't fault Zheming for going for 2 1-drops instead, just so you have more stuff to kind of bump into that Wax Elemental.
Yeah, he needs to work out how he wants to use these Void Walkers, what he wants to protect from what, and if any of that really matters, or if he just wants to play Keleseth so that later on when his board gets reset, with a Vanish perhaps, he just gets to play bigger and bigger things from the top of his deck. Because Saiyan can draw a Vanish at any point.
Yes, that is true. Saiyan looks like he absolutely needs Vanish to be able to beat this Zoo draw. And I think I do like 1 Void Walker, 1 Light Warden here. The 1 Void Walker can protect the rest of his board from this 1 Glacial Shard, which could have gotten some more favorable trades in the way around. I like the Light Warden in case he draws some kind of heal effect and it allows him to get so much damage onto the next turn. But Double Void Walker, it's safe and it's solid still.
Yeah, the big health totals make it difficult for some sort of fan shenanigans to mess him up as well. These are just going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, there is 2 of Fan of Knives in the list for JustSaiyan, which has become more and more common these days. He does pick up a bounce effect, so he can freeze something, but...
So if he's desperate for the Vanish, assuming turn 6, he could prep Minstrel to thin the deck. Obviously the freeze effect slows down the immediate rush, but does it actually stem the tide for long enough? Because if you play it back down, then your shard just gets traded into. Neither of these options are fun in the slightest. He won't be enjoying this game of Hearthstone.
I don't think Saiyan can get greedy enough to hope to complete the quest on the shard at this point, or at least not on this 1 shard. If he draws the other one, that would be very fortunate. But I do like holding on to the Vanish, the preparation for a future Vanish. And the next turn, Boar and Elven Minstrel will at least let him be able to draw some cards and thin the deck towards that Vanish.
Yeah, I think you complete on Giggling Inventor quite often in this scenario, which is weird, but basically you just don't worry about your other cards. You try not to die, you get your Giggling, and then if you're going to win, all hell breaks loose and you keep bouncing it back to your hand and putting it back down, and it just gets so annoyatronic.
So it's actually a little bit of an awkward board state for Zheming because he definitely wants to be clearing off this Glacial Shard as it's had 2 activations so far. So you'd want to put a Void Walker in, and if you put a Void Walker in, you want to trade something to get rid of the Wax Elemental, and naturally you'd want to put in the 2-1, but it looks like it gets a better trade onto the 3-2. So you might even have to sink 4 damage into the Wax Elemental unless you just leave up this Brewmaster, which could then take value trades onto the Void Walker.
Yeah, I think leaving up minions against Rogue is a way to actually not win.
Yeah.
I agree with you entirely there. So taking a slightly bad turn to set it up. Don't forget, he wants to leave this all on board so that he's got a chance of getting through a Giggling event next turn.
He's actually going to go face with the 4-4, I guess, if he does it this way. Or would he trade into the Glacial Shard?
Yeah, trade into it, just protect the extra minions. Now you've got enough minions to absolutely slam through a Giggling Inventor. And
the other way around, he could have had a healthier Doubling Imp and a less healthy Void Walker, but I guess this also makes sense in the sense that Saiyan wouldn't be able to dagger down one of the Void Walkers. You're not dealing any face damage anyway.
There once was a
part of the equation sorted there. Valera is a big deal, picked up by Saiyan.
Sonya as well.
Oh, Sonya.
With Scale Hide, but will he have the time? He's technically perfectly healthy at this point, but Zheming has built up quite a monstrous board.
Yeah, we are talking still in terms of Vanish, but now the other bits and pieces are coming together for Saiyan, and you can see how important that saved preparation was and that patience with the Minstrel.
Ooh.
If Vanish is picked up, crazy things can happen.
With a Light Warden and Happy Ghoul,
Oh.
this Fungal Enchanter's looking pretty spicy, although there's actually not enough board space to do everything he wants to do this turn, I think.
So he'll be looking to clear the board and set up lethal next turn, and worry about the overkills later.
Yeah. So he definitely wants to create board space for the Fungal Enchanter. So you trade away the Keleseth into the 3-2, I guess put a Void Walker into the Stone Tusk board. Slam that Fungal Boy. And have this Light Warden, which will have 7 attack, go face, along with 2 4/4s, and another 4 damage.
I know what
That's like
Saiyan's
19
thinking
in one
right
turn.
now. Exactly what he's thinking. Give me Vanish, give me Vanish, give me Vanish. Not much else will do it.
Nothing at all. That looks like it is just game. Am I missing anything here? Can't even suicide the Scale Hide into the Void Walker. So there you go. Zheming has put his first win onto the board against JustSaiyan.
2-1. 2 more chances for Saiyan to make this top 16. And
In a good show as well. He's somebody who hardly leaves the Australia, New Zealand area for competing in Hearthstone, but every time I see him compete there, he does really well.
yeah, I've noticed his name around a lot, and obviously he turns up in chats and stuff from time to time. Okay, so in the first 2 games with his Rogue, Zheming didn't really get the hands he was looking for, but at least this time he's got a Thug, and it's a pretty good time to get your Hench Clan Thug.
Yeah, you gotta bully the Quest Rogue, and when the name is Thug, you just know that's a card you have to keep.
Tom60229 also alongside Muzzy. Very similar tiebreakers, could just sneak into 16th place.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of strong APAC representation, of course, because we are in the Asia-Pacific region, but the Europeans and Americans have also been putting in some work. So it is now Zheming's second chance to maybe beat JustSaiyan.
And although his hand is looking good, Saiyan has got a lot of the tools he needs. You know, the Rogue needs like 6 tools. You can't have them all in your opening hand. So he's on the way to having a great chance here. And Valera, another of the cards, maybe doesn't need it just yet, but another card he won't be sad to see in his hand.
The usual slow start from JustSaiyan. There can't be too upset about not having things like Novice Engineer. As soon as he gets Charger for that Sonya, could be well in his favor. But then again, he doesn't have a solid answer for what could very well be a coin Hench Clan Thug. I would like to see that come out from Zheming this turn.
So many options.
Well, just daggering up.
He could just dagger and save Fungal Mancer in hindsight.
Right. Yeah. Of course, that's better. That's my bad. For some reason, I thought he already had a dagger. It's turn 2, yeah. That is my bad. Yeah, having the 4-4 Hench Clan Thug is really superior to just coining it out as a 3-3 because it's then resilient against South Sea deckhands.
Choosing to use a dagger charge now, even though if he plays the Thug next turn, he'll have to use his last charge up. Get it into the face while he can, maybe?
Zheming pod off the top is very powerful draw. Oh! 3 Waxies.
That'll buy a bit of time. Especially with the Sonya hidden behind it.
Yeah.
How did you even get through that?
You have to SI the Sonya.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Or Vile Spine it, I suppose, at the worst case scenario.
I think we might see Saiyan slow down a little bit from now on, though, because this is getting to the point where it's going to be more important that he gets his turn right than trying to make his opponent make a mistake.
You did mention something a while ago about Zheming going face with that first dagger charge, which is actually a bit curious to me as well, because knowing that he had Coin Fungal Mancer for the follow-up, it actually means that if he does that, then he misses one more buff onto the Hench Clan Thug. And this turn, you're very much encouraged to play the dagger over the Fungal Mancer just so you don't have to push so much damage into one little Waxy.
Both players assuming the thinking position now, because this one's going to be a tough one.
So dagger and deckhand seems okay here. I don't think you necessarily want to play the other one because of Fan of Knives.
Yeah, that's the main decision. How do you feel about that? You can keep one back for Coin Fungal Mancer and just have basically a charging 4-3.
Feels like such a bad use of mana. I think there's an argument for Coin Giggling Inventor, but at this point, I think you can tell JustSaiyan doesn't have that freezing minion for this Hench Clan Thug, so you're gonna have to put him on having Vanish to beat you, and in that case, you don't want your Giggling to be vanished.
And talking of Vanish to beat you, if Saiyan gets a Vanish, he will win this game most likely, if he gets it anytime soon. Because he has the reload so well set. And Rogue takes so long to really regroup his board.
Zheming deciding not to respect Fan of Knives. I can definitely see why you go for the aggression, especially since the way his hand has panned out. Like, he still has plays for the next few turns.
This is where it gets messy.
So Saiyan can go for the Giggling to stall, which of course gets punished by Blood Knight, or he can hide behind 2 Waxies and Sonya, which also gets punished by Blood Knight. What do you know? But he can hope that there is no SI for the Sonya. Like, the worst case for him would be like Blood Knight Coin SI.
And maybe he waits till the coin's gone so that at least there's a good chance the opponents use all their 1-drops. And this is fine for now. Like you say, Blood Knight's an eternal threat, but he's still playing really for not just the Vanish, obviously, but if he doesn't get Vanish, he probably loses this game. So you can't worry too much about Divine Shields and stuff.
And again, the Fungal Mancer is looking a little bit awkward for Zheming. I do think that he will want to activate the SI onto the Giggling Inventor, just prevent any chance of bouncing it back for Saiyan. With the use of SI, all the minions on board and the dagger, he can also clear off the 2 Annoyatrons. You just have to kill off your South Sea deckhand though, which is a bit unfortunate.
The light protects me.
Yeah, not really getting anywhere fast now, but Saiyan's going to have to start doing the more difficult part of his job in a minute if the card draw, if the Vanish don't show up. Six more to the face.
Well, looks like he's targeting the Annoyatron, so yeah, he's actually not going to clear the Giggles, and I think this is actually a very ballsy play to go for.
Really terrifying, it must be said.
Yeah, any like Shadow Step on this is terrifying, but Zheming is just not going to respect it. Even the Sonya.
Even the Sonya is just really disgusting now.
Yeah.
And now the SI7's gone, he's not only at liberty to play it, but he's going to get his 1-mana Giggling and... Oh, the Wax Elemental, everything is just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, this is, I think, a straight-up mistake from Zheming.
Yeah. And I think he feels it himself. I get the impression that was a look of a player who was annoyed at themselves, not at their misfortune.
It is looking like Saiyan might just go to yet another top 16, and Zheming looks defeated already. It's his turn, and he took a solid 3 seconds to not look at his hand.
Yeah, and I mean, because he can't kill the Sonya, this giggling inventor's just going to go out of control. So is the Glacial Shard. And what do? You just give your opponent a Wax Elemental every time you do anything here. It's just locked down pretty much, as long as Saiyan doesn't overfill his board with the wrong minions. That's like about the only thing that could possibly go wrong.
Yeah. I do think that Zheming may have tunnel visioned on Vanish, being Saiyan's out there, and so he wanted to make the best play around Vanish, which is of course to put more minion damage to the face, but in doing so he forgot about the many gross things you can do with Quest Rogue as long as one giggles sticks.
And that's also the sort of thing that you do. You probably spend every turn saying, don't play the SI, don't play the SI, and then before you know it, the SI is on the board and you're like, why is that there? I told myself not to play it. And now he's got such an uphill battle. I don't see how he fights back without picking up maybe the second SI next turn. Maybe.
In this position from Zheming, I don't even know if you're meant to kill any of the Annoyatrons. I would have liked to see him pop some Divine Shields, but not kill minions, because that actually puts them into the hand. Like, by developing the Giggling Inventor, it gives him more stuff to actually have enough stuff to attack and then kill the Sonya in the next turn. I don't know. There wasn't much he could have done anyway at that point.
Yeah, Shadow Step appearing now as well. This is basically complete lockdown. Saiyan's getting himself into as safe a health token as he can while still jamming at the board.
Quest right now, and he's got preps. Oh, a prep. And a win. And another top 16.
Another top 16. Hunter Ace, another top 16. Casey, another top 16. It's ridiculous here. And I think after maybe 3 rounds, we were looking through and it was a bit of a hefty mix of knowns and unknowns. And then suddenly, they're all at the top. Most of these players now have got 3 or 4, not most, but many of these players have got 3 or 4 top 16s before we even mention the big names that we keep on about.
Zheming looking for any possible thing he could have done. There's just nothing when you leave up the giggling sometimes. And so Saiyan, can this guy be stopped, Lorinda?
We're going to find out in the next couple of days. I mean, he was stopped last week. He only came second.
I don't count that as
disaster.
Stopping. Normal mortals don't call that being stopped. That is a perfectly reasonable result. Yeah, all right.
But we tried to stop Hunter